Chapter 1: Discovering Your Authentic Self, A Journey to Self-Realization. Self-awareness is the first step on the path to discovering your true identity, which is a process that can take a lifetime to complete. The ability to recognize one's own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, as well as to comprehend how those things influence one's life, is referred to as self-awareness. It requires taking a break from the activities of daily life and thinking about the past, present, and future experiences, as well as the values and beliefs you hold. It is essential to schedule time in your schedule for self-reflection in order to get started on the path towards self-realization. You can accomplish this goal by meditating, keeping a journal, or even just going for a walk outside in the fresh air. During this period, it is important to place your focus on better comprehending who you are by investigating your feelings and thoughts. After you have achieved a level of self-awareness, the next step is to figure out what your fundamental beliefs are. Your decisions and actions are based on a set of principles and beliefs that you refer to as your values. They mold your perspective on the world and have an impact on the way you engage with the world that surrounds you. Think about the things that are most important to you in this life to determine what your core values are. What is more important, family, honor, or creativity? By gaining an understanding of your values, you can realign your life with the things that are most important to you and live in a way that is true to who you are. Understanding the characteristics that make up your personality is another essential step on the path to finding your true self. Your personality traits are the distinctive qualities that contribute to the formation of your identity. These characteristics have an influence on how you think, feel, and act, and they also shape the relationships you have with other people. If you have a good understanding of your personality, you will be better able to identify your strong and weak points and devise strategies to deal with them. It is imperative that you cultivate a sense of self-acceptance as you continue along your path towards self-realization. Self-acceptance refers to the capacity to welcome and embrace all aspects of oneself, including one's shortcomings and imperfections. It requires letting go of self-criticism and judgment, as well as learning to love and appreciate oneself in spite of one's flaws and shortcomings. Taking action is the final step in finding your true self during the process of self-discovery. This requires you to make adjustments in your life so that they are in line with the values and beliefs you hold. It could mean embarking on a new career path, severing ties with a partner who is toxic to your health, or simply establishing boundaries to protect your well-being. No matter what you do, everything you do should have a foundation in authenticity and be a reflection of who you really are. Discovering your authentic self is a journey of self-realization that begins with developing self-awareness, determining your core values, gaining an understanding of your personality traits, cultivating self-acceptance, and taking action. In brief, these are the steps involved in discovering your authentic self. You will be able to bring your life into alignment with your true self and live a life that is more fulfilling and authentic if you embark on this journey. Next chapter: Unleashing Your Inner Power, Maximizing Your Potential. Chapter 2: Unleashing Your Inner Power, Maximizing Your Potential. However, the majority of people never realize their full potential because they are unable to connect with the power that lies within themselves. To unleash the power that lies within you, you must first acknowledge your accomplishments and then put them to good use. Getting what you want out of life requires building up your self-assurance and resiliency, as well as taking some calculated risks. It is essential to recognize your capabilities if you wish to liberate your latent power. Your ability to creatively solve issues is one example of a strength, but it could also be your capacity to solve problems in general. Strengths are the things that you are naturally good at. You will be better able to focus on developing your strengths and utilizing them to achieve your goals if you first identify what they are. Developing your self-confidence is another essential step in the process of liberating your latent power. A belief in one's own capabilities as well as one's own merits constitutes confidence. It is essential to keep in mind that having confidence does not mean that you are flawless or that you never make mistakes, but rather that you have faith in your ability to deal with whatever challenges life throws at you. It is imperative that you push yourself and take risks, even if they are relatively minor at first, in order to build up your self-assurance. Your self-assurance will increase as a direct result of your successes. One more essential quality you must possess in order to release your latent power is resilience. The capacity to recover quickly from adversity and triumph over challenges is what we mean when we talk about resilience. It is essential to understand that obstacles and defeats are an inevitable part of life, and that these experiences do not characterize you in any way. You can face challenges head-on and emerge stronger on the other side if you develop the ability to be resilient and face them head-on. In order to make the most of your capabilities, setting goals for yourself is an absolute necessity. Setting goals not only helps you stay motivated and focused, but they also provide you with a sense of direction and purpose. It is essential to make goals concrete, measurable, and attainable when one is in the process of setting them. In addition to this, you should have a strategy in place for how you intend to achieve your objectives and how you will keep yourself accountable. Taking action is another essential step in the process of liberating your inner power. This means getting out of your comfort zone and taking some risks in order to achieve the goals that you have set for yourself. It could involve participating in a meeting as an active participant, taking on a new project, or launching a new company. No matter what steps you decide to take, you should ensure that they are founded on your capabilities and are in line with your objectives. Last but not least, it's essential to populate your life with upbeat and encouraging individuals who have your back. The company you keep can either help you rise to greater heights or drag you down to a lower level. You'll have a network of people who believe in you and your abilities and will cheer you on as you unleash the power that lies within you if you surround yourself with positive and supportive people. This will allow you to tap into your inner strength. In a nutshell, releasing your inner power entails figuring out your greatest assets, cultivating self-assurance and resiliency, establishing objectives, getting things done, and surrounding yourself with people who are encouraging and supportive. You can reach your full potential and accomplish amazing things if you learn to harness the power that lies within you. Next chapter, embracing your unique gifts, celebrating your differences. Chapter 3, embracing your unique gifts, celebrating your differences. Every single person has their own distinct set of experiences, skills, and abilities, making them one of a kind. Recognizing and appreciating what sets you apart from others is an essential step towards embracing the unique abilities you possess. It requires accepting who you are as an individual and recognizing the ways in which you can contribute to the betterment of the world around you. To fully appreciate your one-of-a-kind abilities, you need to first be able to recognize them. Your abilities to empathize with others or your creative streak could be among the many things that make up your list of gifts. Once you have identified your strengths and abilities, you can concentrate on improving those areas and putting them to good use. Acceptance of your differences is another crucial component of recognizing and appreciating the unique gifts you possess. Even though we live in a society that places a high value on sameness and conformity, we must never forget that it is precisely our unique qualities that set us apart from one another. You can embrace your individuality and use it to make a positive impact on the world if you first accept your differences and recognize that everyone is unique. It is essential to keep in mind that your one-of-a-kind abilities are not intended solely for your own benefit. Rather, they are designed for the advancement of the community as a whole. You can have a positive influence on those in your immediate environment by giving back to the world what the world has given to you. This could involve giving people your time for free, sharing what you know with them, or just being friendly and compassionate to the people you come in contact with. Establishing boundaries is another method for appreciating the unique gifts you were given. It's easy to get caught up in trying to please other people or conform to the expectations of society, but it's important to keep in mind that the benefits you receive from your gifts are also for your own benefit. You can ensure that you have the time and energy to cultivate your gifts and share them with the world by setting boundaries for yourself and prioritizing the things that are most important to you. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that coming to terms with your one-of-a-kind abilities is a process. It is not something that happens overnight, and it requires continuous introspection on oneself as well as personal development. It is essential to exercise patience with oneself and celebrate one's progress at regular intervals along the way. To summarize, embracing your unique gifts requires you to identify your strengths, accept your differences, share your gifts with others, establish boundaries, and embrace the ongoing process of self-reflection and growth. You can celebrate your individuality and use your unique gifts to make a positive impact on the world around you if you accept and embrace the gifts that make you who you are. Next chapter: Owning Your Story, Embracing Your Past, Present, and Future. Chapter 4: Owning Your Story, Embracing Your Past, Present, and Future. Everyone has a background, which is comprised of their experiences, beliefs, and core values. When you embrace all of your past, present, and future experiences as part of your narrative and claim them as your own, this is what it means to own your story. It entails recognizing your accomplishments and failures, as well as your successes and shortcomings, and coming to terms with the aspects of your story that you cannot alter. When you want to take ownership of your story, the first thing you do is reflect on your past. This necessitates taking a critical look at one's upbringing, experiences, and relationships in order to comprehend the ways in which they have influenced one's development. It is critical to have an accurate understanding of your history, including both the positive and negative experiences that shape you into the person you are today. Being present in the here and now is another essential component of taking ownership of your story. It's easy to get caught up in regrets about the past or worries about the future, but it's essential to keep in mind that the only thing you can control is what's happening in the present moment. Being mindful of the here and now allows you to concentrate on the aspects of your situation that are within your power to change and moves you closer to the future you envision for yourself. In the end, taking ownership of your story requires you to embrace your future. This means visualizing the life you want and working toward those goals in order to make it a reality. It also means coming to terms with the possibility that your future will not turn out exactly how you envisioned it, but that is okay. You can approach the future with an open mind and a sense of curiosity if you are willing to accept that it is uncertain. Remembering that owning your story does not mean fixating on the past or worrying excessively about the future is another essential step in the process. It means acknowledging and accepting all aspects of your story, as well as making use of those aspects in order to progress in a constructive manner. Reframing your perspective can be one way to take ownership of your story. Consider your past blunders to be valuable learning experiences that have contributed to your development and made you more of a well-rounded individual rather than embarrassing setbacks. Instead of worrying about what the future may hold, you should concentrate on the advantages and prospects that it offers. Seeking support is yet another method for taking ownership of your story. It may be beneficial to talk about your experience with a trusted group of friends or family members, or to seek the advice of a professional counselor. You may be able to acquire new insights and find the support you require in order to proceed in life if you share your story with other people. In a nutshell, taking ownership of your story necessitates looking back on your history, living in the here and now, and looking forward to the future. It means accepting every aspect of your story, rethinking how you look at things, and reaching out for help when you feel you need it. When you take responsibility for your past and tell it like it is, you can foster a sense of empowerment and move forward with self-assurance and a sense of purpose. Next chapter: Breaking Free from Limiting Beliefs, Overcoming Self-Doubt. Chapter 5: Breaking Free from Limiting Beliefs, Overcoming Self-Doubt. We all have beliefs about who we are and the world around us, and these beliefs can sometimes prevent us from achieving our full potential. Beliefs that keep us stuck in negative patterns and prevent us from reaching our full potential are referred to as limiting beliefs. In order to create a mindset that is more positive and empowering, overcoming self-doubt requires locating the limiting beliefs that are holding you back and overcoming them. In order to conquer self-doubt, the first step is to pinpoint the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. These beliefs may include statements such as, "I'm not good enough," "I'm not smart enough," or "I don't deserve success." After you have recognized your limiting beliefs, the next step is to investigate their origins and determine whether or not they are founded on actual experience or merely on your own negative self-talk. Developing self-compassion is another essential component of overcoming self-doubt, and it's one of the most overlooked. Self-compassion refers to the practice of treating oneself with the same degree of kindness and understanding that one would extend to a friend. It means acknowledging that it is acceptable for oneself and others to make errors and suffer setbacks, and that this is the case. You can develop a more optimistic and encouraging frame of mind by engaging in the practice of self-compassion. In addition to this, it is essential to test the validity of your limiting beliefs. This requires you to challenge the veracity of your negative self-talk and to replace it with affirmations that are more constructive. For instance, if you find yourself thinking, "I'm not good enough," challenge that thought by questioning yourself with inquiries such as, "What evidence do I have to support this belief?" And, "Is there another way to think about this situation?" Taking action is another strategy for overcoming the negative effects of self-doubt. This means pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone and engaging in activities that give you the willies. You can show yourself that you are capable of achieving your goals and that the limiting beliefs you have about yourself are not accurate by taking action and putting your plan into motion. Last but not least, it's essential to populate your life with upbeat and encouraging individuals who have your back. The company you keep can either help you rise to greater heights or drag you down to a lower level. As you work to overcome self-doubt, it will be helpful to have a network of people who believe in you and your abilities and will cheer you on as you make progress. You can achieve this by surrounding yourself with positive and supportive individuals. In conclusion, overcoming self-doubt requires you to recognize your limiting beliefs, cultivate self-compassion, change your negative self-talk, take action, and surround yourself with people who are supportive and positive. You will be able to realize your full potential and cultivate a mindset that is more positive and empowering if you are able to overcome the limiting beliefs that you have held in the past. Chapter 6. Navigating Life Transitions, Embracing Change and Transformation. Both major and minor changes are inevitable throughout the course of one's life. It doesn't matter if you're starting a new job, relocating to a new city, or grieving the loss of someone close to you. Transitions can be difficult and unsettling. To successfully navigate life's transitions, one must be open to and embrace change and transformation, as well as cultivate the skills and mentality necessary to adapt to new circumstances. It is important to recognize the feelings that are associated with change as a first step in the process of navigating life's transitions. It is not abnormal to experience a variety of feelings, some of which are anxiety, fear, and sadness. You will be able to start processing these feelings and move on with your life once you acknowledge and accept them. Developing a resilient mindset is another essential component of successfully navigating life transitions. The capacity to recover quickly from adversity and triumph over obstacles is what we mean when we talk about resilience. It is essential to acknowledge that changes can be difficult and overwhelming. However, if you have resilience, you will be able to adjust to new circumstances and even thrive in them. It is equally as important to place an emphasis on the positive aspects that come along with change. Alteration can present a window of opportunity for personal development and education, as well as the introduction of novel possibilities and experiences. You can cultivate a mindset that is more optimistic and hopeful by putting your attention on the favorable aspects of the changes that are occurring. Seeking support is another method that can be utilized to successfully navigate transitions in life. This could involve talking to friends or members of your own family, seeking the advice of a therapist, or joining a support group. You can acquire a fresh viewpoint on your predicament and discover the motivation you require to make progress if you look for support from other people. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that navigating the transitions that occur throughout life is an ongoing process. It is not something that happens overnight, and it requires continuous introspection on oneself, as well as personal development. It is essential to exercise patience with oneself and celebrate one's progress at regular intervals along the way. Acknowledging your feelings, developing resilience, concentrating on the positive aspects of change, seeking support, and embracing the ongoing process of growth and self-reflection are all important components of successfully navigating life transitions. In summary, you will be able to adjust to new circumstances, as well as create a life that is more fulfilling and meaningful, if you are open to change and transformation. Chapter 7. Cultivating Resilience, Bouncing Back from Adversity. The roller coaster that is life is guaranteed to throw both successes and failures our way at some point or another. Developing resilience requires cultivating the skills and mindset necessary to persevere in the face of adversity and triumph over obstacles. Finding meaning and purpose in challenging circumstances, as well as developing strategies to cope with challenging situations, are all components of this process. Recognizing your own strengths is a crucial first step in developing your ability to bounce back from adversity. Your capabilities and traits that set you apart from others and contribute to your value are referred to as your strengths. You will be better able to focus on developing your strengths and using them to overcome challenges if you first recognize what they are. The development of effective coping mechanisms is yet another essential component of building resilience. The actions and behaviors that you engage in that are beneficial in the management of stress and challenge are referred to as coping strategies. Activities like going for a run, sitting quietly in meditation, or hanging out with loved ones could be among them. You can improve your ability to handle difficult situations and bounce back from adversity by developing coping strategies, which can be found in the previous sentence. Finding meaning and purpose in challenging circumstances is another thing that is vitally important. To do this, you may need to reframe your perspective and search for the opportunities or lessons that can be gained from adversity. Finding meaning in challenging circumstances is one way to cultivate a more optimistic and resilient frame of mind for yourself. Seeking support is yet another method that can be utilized to cultivate resilience. This could involve talking to friends or members of your own family, seeking the advice of a therapist, or joining a support group. You can acquire a fresh viewpoint on your predicament and discover the motivation you require to make progress if you look for support from other people. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that the process of building resilience is one that never ends. It is not something that happens overnight, and it requires continuous introspection on oneself as well as personal development. It is essential to exercise patience with oneself and celebrate one's progress at regular intervals along the way. Finding meaning and purpose in trying circumstances, seeking support, and being open to the ongoing process of personal development and introspection are all important components of cultivating resilience. In summary, cultivating resilience involves recognizing your own strengths, developing strategies for coping with difficult situations, finding meaning and purpose in trying circumstances, and seeking support. You can bounce back from adversity and triumph over challenges if you develop your resilience. This will allow you to create a life that is more fulfilling and meaningful. Chapter 8. tapping into your intuition, trusting your inner voice. When it comes to making decisions and navigating the obstacles that life throws at us, we all have an inner voice, a gut feeling, or an intuition that can serve as a guide. To develop your intuition, you must first learn to trust and pay attention to your own inner voice, regardless of whether or not it agrees with logic or reason. It requires building a stronger connection with yourself and the things that are important to you, as well as having faith that you already possess the answers. It is essential to begin by cultivating a deeper awareness of yourself if you wish to develop your intuitive abilities. This involves paying attention to your thoughts, feelings, and the sensations in your body, as well as recognizing the connections that exist between these aspects of yourself. You can begin to recognize when your intuition is speaking to you by becoming more aware of your internal experience. This will allow you to recognize when your intuition is speaking to you. Learning to trust yourself is an additional crucial step in the process of developing your intuitive abilities. This means acknowledging that you already possess the experience and knowledge necessary to make the best choices for yourself and moving forward. It also means letting go of the need for external validation or approval and trusting that you know what is best for you and letting go of the belief that you need to please others. In addition to this, it is essential to make time and space for self-examination and reflection. This could be accomplished through the practice of mindfulness, writing a journal, or simply setting aside time each day to be alone with one's own thoughts. You can connect with your innate knowledge and achieve a more profound comprehension of who you are and the things that are important to you by making time and space for reflection. Following your curiosities is another technique for developing your intuitive abilities. This means that you should pursue the things that interest you, even if they do not appear to make any logical sense. You can tap into your passions and find new opportunities for personal development and growth if you follow your curiosity and do the things that interest you. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that developing your intuitive abilities is a never-ending process. It is not something that happens overnight, and it requires continuous introspection on oneself, as well as personal development. It is essential to exercise patience with oneself and celebrate one's progress at regular intervals along the way. In a nutshell, developing your intuition requires you to develop your self-awareness, learn to trust yourself, make room for reflection, follow your curiosity, and embrace the ongoing process of growing and reflecting on yourself. You can learn to trust yourself as well as your own inner voice and create a life that is more fulfilling and meaningful by developing your intuitive abilities. Chapter 9. Finding your purpose, aligning your passions and talents. Finding your life's purpose requires bringing together your interests, abilities, and ideals in a way that makes sense to you. It entails figuring out what makes you happy and gives you a sense of accomplishment, and then employing those things to have a constructive effect on the world around you. Finding your life's calling is an ongoing process that calls for self-examination, exploration, and a willingness to be open to new experiences and opportunities. It is essential to begin the process of discovering your purpose by investigating your passions and interests. This could involve trying out new hobbies, reading about a variety of topics, or talking to people whose jobs or lifestyles are interesting to you. You can gain a greater understanding of what brings you happiness and fulfillment by delving deeper into your passions and pursuing them. Recognizing your gifts and capabilities is another essential step in the process of discovering your life's purpose. Your skills and capabilities that come easily to you are referred to as your talents and strengths, and they are frequently connected to the things that excite and interest you. If you are able to identify your skills and capabilities, you will be in a better position to work on improving those areas and putting them to use in ways that will lead to a life that is more meaningful and satisfying. It is also essential to link your individual interests and abilities to a higher, more meaningful goal. This requires figuring out how you can put your skills and abilities to use in a way that will have a positive effect on the world around you. It could mean giving your time to a cause that you believe in through volunteering, pursuing a line of work that is congruent with your morals, or simply looking for ways to assist others in your community. You can also discover your purpose by moving toward the goals you've set for yourself and taking action. This requires you to not only be willing to take risks and experiment with new things, but also to determine the steps that you need to take in order to achieve your objectives. You can create momentum and move closer to living a life with purpose by acting on what you know you should do. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that the process of determining your purpose is an ongoing one. It is not something that happens overnight, and it requires continuous introspection on oneself as well as personal development. It is essential to exercise patience with oneself and celebrate one's progress at regular intervals along the way. In a nutshell, discovering your purpose entails investigating your interests and passions, being aware of your skills and capabilities, tying your interests and skills to a greater goal, establishing objectives and taking steps toward achieving those objectives, and being open to the continuous process of personal development and introspection. You can lead a life that is more meaningful and fulfilling if you bring together the interests and abilities you have with the objectives you have set for yourself. Chapter 10. Building Strong Relationships, Embracing Authentic Connections. Having a life that is fulfilling requires you to have a number of healthy relationships. When you want to build strong relationships, you must first establish genuine connections with other people. These connections should be based on trust, respect, and open communication. It requires prioritizing the relationships that are most important to you, as well as being vulnerable and authentic in the interactions you have with other people. Being present and paying attention to the people you are interacting with is an important first step in the process of developing healthy relationships. This requires putting aside any distractions that may be present in order to pay full attention to what other people have to say. It also means being open and honest in your own communication, as well as expressing your thoughts and feelings in a manner that is unambiguous and respectful. Being vulnerable and authentic are also essential components in the process of constructing solid relationships. This means that you are willing to share your true thoughts and feelings, even if doing so will be challenging or uncomfortable for the other person. It also means being willing to listen to other people and providing support for them when they are being vulnerable and authentic in their own lives. In addition to this, it is essential to place high value on the relationships that are the most significant to you. This could mean scheduling time in your schedule for consistent communication and activities with friends and family members, or it could mean actively seeking out new relationships that are compatible with your values and objectives. Putting your skills in empathy and forgiveness to use is another method for building strong relationships. Letting go of grudges and resentments and concentrating on the positive aspects of a relationship are both necessary steps in the process of forgiving another person. Practicing empathy requires putting oneself in the position of another person and attempting to see things from their point of view. You can improve the quality of the environment you live in and the relationships you have with others, as well as your capacity for empathy and forgiveness if you engage in these practices. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that cultivating healthy relationships is a process that occurs over time. It calls for constant communication, a willingness to be vulnerable, and effort. It is essential to practice patience with oneself as well as others, and to take time to acknowledge and appreciate the advancements made along the way. To summarize, cultivating healthy relationships requires one to be present and attentive, to allow oneself to be vulnerable and authentic, to place important relationships at the forefront of one's priorities, to engage in acts of forgiveness and empathy, and to be open to the continuous process of personal development and introspection. You can lead a life that is richer in both fulfillment and meaning if you cultivate genuine connections with the people around you. Chapter 11. Becoming a Leader, Unlocking Your Leadership Potential. Being in a position of authority or holding a title is not sufficient to qualify one as a leader. To achieve the status of a leader, one must first cultivate the abilities and mindset necessary to motivate and direct followers toward the accomplishment of a shared objective. Acknowledging both your capabilities and your limitations, working to improve your ability to communicate and make decisions, and working to develop a vision for the future are all required steps. Recognizing both your capabilities and your limitations is an important first step toward developing your leadership skills. This requires being truthful with yourself regarding the areas in which you excel and the areas in which you could use some improvement. You will be better able to focus on developing your strengths and using them to inspire and guide others if you first recognize what they are. Recognizing your own shortcomings allows you to work toward improving them and, if necessary, seek support or guidance from a mentor. Developing your capacity for effective communication is another essential step on the path to becoming a leader. In order to have effective communication, it is not only necessary to speak in a clear and articulate manner, but it is also necessary to actively listen and show empathy. It also requires having the ability to modify your communication style according to the context and the people you are speaking to. Developing your ability to make decisions is another skill that is essential. This means having the ability to collect and evaluate information, consider a variety of options, and make choices that are both informed and deliberate. It also means being willing to take risks and learning from those risks, as well as the mistakes you make. Developing a perspective or outlook on the future is yet another route to taking on a leadership role. This necessitates an awareness of the bigger picture, as well as the ability to formulate long-term objectives and plans. It also means having the ability to convey your vision to others and motivate them to collaborate on the accomplishment of a common objective. Last but not least, it is essential to keep in mind that developing into a leader is an ongoing process. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from your past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. In a nutshell, if you want to become a leader, you need to be able to assess your own capabilities in terms of both strengths and weaknesses, improve your ability to communicate and make decisions, develop a vision for the future, and be open to the ongoing process of personal development and introspection. Unlocking your potential as a leader enables you to motivate and direct others toward the accomplishment of a shared objective, thereby producing a life that is more satisfying and has deeper meaning. Chapter 12. Developing Emotional Intelligence, Navigating Your Emotions. Emotional intelligence refers to a person's capability to identify, comprehend, and control not only their own feelings but also those of themselves and other people. Emotional intelligence can be defined as the ability to manage one's feelings in a way that is both healthy and productive, as well as the application of one's emotional awareness to the development of stronger relationships and improved decision-making. In order to improve your emotional intelligence, the first step you should take is to become more self-aware of your own feelings. This means being able to recognize and name the feelings you're experiencing, as well as having an understanding of how those feelings influence your thoughts and actions. You can start to recognize patterns and triggers that may lead to certain emotional responses if you become more aware of your emotions and pay closer attention to what they are telling you. Learning to control your emotions is an additional crucial component of developing emotional intelligence. This means having the ability to manage your emotions in a way that is healthy and constructive, as opposed to allowing your emotions to control your thoughts and behaviors. When you are feeling overwhelmed or upset, it involves using strategies to calm yourself down, such as deep breathing, mindfulness, or physical activity. It is also essential to cultivate empathy and a sense of understanding for the feelings that other people experience. This means having the capacity to recognize and respond to the feelings that others are experiencing in a manner that is both compassionate and supportive. Additionally, it implies having the ability to communicate clearly with other people, even when one's feelings are running high. Self-reflection and self-awareness training are two additional methods that can be utilized in the process of developing emotional intelligence. This entails giving some thought to your own feelings and actions, as well as gaining an awareness of the ways in which those feelings may be influencing the choices and relationships you make. By engaging in regular self-reflection, you can develop a more in-depth understanding of yourself as well as your feelings, and then put that knowledge to use by bringing about positive changes in your life. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that the development of emotional intelligence is a process that never ends. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. To summarize, developing emotional intelligence involves becoming more aware of your own emotions, learning to regulate your emotions, developing empathy and understanding for the emotions of others, practicing self-reflection and self-awareness, and embracing the ongoing process of growth and self-reflection. These are all skills that can be learned. You can improve the quality of your relationships, your ability to make decisions, and the sense of fulfillment and meaning you experience in your life by learning to manage your emotions in a positive and productive manner. Chapter 13. Embracing Self-Care, Prioritizing Your Well-Being. Taking deliberate steps to improve your physical, mental, and emotional health is an essential component to the concept of self-care, which refers to the practice of doing so. Embracing self-care means acknowledging the significance of your own well-being and making it a daily priority to engage in activities that promote positive mental and physical health. Practicing self-care means coming up with a routine that is tailored to your needs and being purposeful about the actions you take to look after yourself. To truly embrace self-care, you must first acknowledge the significance of self-care in your own life. This is an essential first step. This means having the awareness that taking care of yourself is not an act of selfishness, but rather a step that must be taken in order to live a life that is both healthy and fulfilling. It also means acknowledging that the practice of self-care may take on a variety of forms for different people, and determining which of these forms are most effective for you. Developing a routine for your own self-care that is beneficial to you is another essential component of embracing self-care. This entails determining the aspects of self-care that contribute the most to your overall well-being, and making an effort to incorporate those aspects into your day-to-day activities. It could include things like going for a run, meditating, or spending time outside in the fresh air. It is also essential that you place a high priority on your self-care practices and incorporate them into your daily routine in a way that cannot be altered. This requires you to establish boundaries and learn to say no to activities and requests that could disrupt the routine you've established for taking care of yourself. It also means making a conscious effort to schedule time for self-care activities, even when you're extremely busy or under a lot of pressure. Recognizing the value of rest and relaxation is yet another approach to self-care that should be embraced. This means making time to engage in activities that bring you joy and relaxation, as well as giving yourself time to recharge your batteries. It could consist of activities such as taking a bubble bath, reading a book, or spending time with people you care about. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that the process of embracing self-care is an ongoing one. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. In a nutshell, embracing self-care entails acknowledging the significance of self-care in your life, establishing a self-care routine that is suitable for you, placing an emphasis on the importance of your self-care routine, acknowledging the significance of rest and relaxation, and accepting that the process of personal development and introspection is an ongoing one. You can lead a life that is richer in meaning and satisfaction if you make your own health and happiness a top priority and look after yourself. Chapter 14. Overcoming Fear, Stepping Out of Your Comfort Zone. The emotion of fear is an inherent and common component of the human experience. Fear can become a problem for us, however, when it begins to prevent us from moving forward and stops us from pursuing our goals and dreams. To conquer fear, one must learn to push oneself beyond one's comfort zone and to take calculated risks, even when doing so feels hazardous or unsettling. It is essential to begin the process of overcoming fear by first recognizing and acknowledging the existence of one's fears. This requires you to have an understanding of what causes your fear, as well as how it influences your thoughts and actions. You can begin to address your fears once you gain a better awareness of those fears and the role they play in your life. Having a growth mindset is essential in overcoming fear and is an important part of the process. This requires having the mindset that mistakes and setbacks are an inevitable part of the learning process, as well as the willingness to take risks and experiment with new activities. Reframing your thoughts and beliefs about fear and seeing it as an opportunity for personal development and expansion is another part of this process. When you are confronting your fears, it is essential to show yourself compassion and take care of yourself at the same time. This entails treating yourself with compassion and understanding, as well as attending to your physiological and psychological necessities. It could involve activities such as mindful breathing or talking to a therapist or a close friend who you can completely confide in. Getting closer to your objectives while keeping your steps manageable is yet another strategy for overcoming fear. In order to achieve this, your goal should be broken down into smaller, more manageable tasks, and your confidence and ability should be gradually built up. It is also possible that this will require you to look for support or guidance from other people who already have experience in the areas in which you are trying to improve. Last but not least, it is essential to keep in mind that overcoming one's fears is an ongoing process. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. In conclusion, overcoming fear requires you to recognize and acknowledge your fears, cultivate a growth mindset, engage in self-compassion and self-care practices, take small, incremental steps toward your goals, and embrace the ongoing process of self-realization and growth. You can conquer your fears and live a life that is more meaningful and fulfilling if you force yourself out of your comfort zone and take some calculated risks. Chapter 15. Creating a Growth Mindset, Embracing Challenges and Learning. The belief that one can improve their existing skills and capabilities through the application of effort and hard work is the essence of a growth mindset. It involves looking at problems not as impediments, but as openings for personal development and education rather than as impediments themselves. Developing a growth mindset requires reorienting your thinking away from a fixed mindset and toward a growth mindset, as well as being purposeful in your pursuit of opportunities for personal development and professional advancement. To foster a growth mindset in oneself, the first step is to acknowledge the significance of effort and perseverance in one's pursuit of goals. This means having the awareness that talent and ability are not immutable characteristics, but rather are qualities that can be developed and improved through consistent effort and practice. It also means rethinking the way you think and feel about difficulties and learning to see them instead as opportunities for personal development and advancement. Developing an interest in learning as well as a sense of natural curiosity is another essential step in the process of creating a growth mindset. This necessitates an attitude of being receptive to novel concepts and points of view, as well as an active pursuit of opportunities to increase one's knowledge and expertise. It also means being open to receiving questions and comments from other people and being willing to do so. When we are confronted with difficulties, it is essential to maintain a resilient and persistent mindset. This entails maintaining a positive attitude in the face of challenges and failures, rather than giving up. so that you can take advantage of those situations as learning and development opportunities. It also means acknowledging that mistakes are an inevitable part of the learning process and viewing them not as a setback, but as an opportunity to examine and enhance one's practices. Finding new ways to improve oneself and expand one's knowledge is yet another method for developing a growth mindset. This could involve enrolling in classes, going to workshops or conferences, or seeking mentorship from other people in the field. You can continue to develop your skills and capabilities so long as you remain vigilant in your search for new opportunities for growth. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that the process of developing a growth mindset is an ongoing one. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. To summarize, developing a growth mindset requires acknowledging the significance of exerting effort and working diligently, cultivating a sense of curiosity and a passion for learning, engaging in behaviors that demonstrate resilience and persistence, actively seeking out opportunities for growth and learning, and welcoming the ongoing process of self-reflection and development. You can make your life more fulfilling and meaningful by accepting these challenges, as well as by actively seeking out opportunities for personal development and education. Chapter 16: Nurturing Creativity, Unleashing Your Inner Artist. The capacity to think in unconventional ways, to visualize new opportunities, and to express oneself in novel and distinctive ways are all essential components of creativity. Unlocking your inner artist and discovering new ways to express your creativity in your day-to-day life are both necessary steps in the process of cultivating your creative potential. It entails being open to new concepts, taking calculated risks, and drawing motivation from the environment around you. It is essential to make room in your life for creative expression as a first step toward fostering your own creative potential. This entails setting aside both time and physical space in order to participate in creative pursuits such as writing, composing, painting, or playing an instrument. It also means making a commitment to exploring new ideas and taking risks, regardless of how uncomfortable or uncertain the situation may feel at the time. Finding inspiration in the world around you is an additional significant component of cultivating your creative potential. This could involve going for hikes in the great outdoors, checking out exhibits at local museums and art galleries, or searching for novel experiences and points of view. You can broaden your creative horizons and find inspiration in places you wouldn't expect to look if you're willing to try new things and be open to new experiences and ideas. When pursuing your creative interests, it is essential to give yourself compassion and take care of yourself at the same time. This entails treating yourself with compassion and understanding, as well as attending to your physiological and psychological necessities. It could involve things like recognizing when you need to take a break, establishing goals that are attainable, and praising your achievements along the way. One more way to foster creative growth is to actively seek out the opinions and endorsements of other people. This could involve sharing your work with friends or members of your family, or it could involve joining a creative community where you can connect with other people who share your interests and passions. You can continue to develop as an artist and acquire new insights and perspectives on your work if you actively seek out feedback and support from other people. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that developing one's creative potential is an ongoing process. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. In a nutshell, cultivating your creative potential involves making room in your life for creative endeavors, locating sources of inspiration in the environment around you, engaging in acts of self-compassion and self-care, soliciting the feedback and support of others, and embracing the ongoing process of personal development and introspection. You can cultivate a life that is more meaningful and fulfilling for you by releasing your inner artist and finding ways to express your creativity in your day-to-day activities. Chapter 17. Embracing Diversity, Celebrating Differences, and Building Bridges. The term diversity refers to the wide variety of human differences, which can include, but are not limited to, factors such as racial and ethnic background, gender, sexual orientation, age, religious affiliation, and socioeconomic standing. Recognizing and celebrating these differences is an important part of embracing diversity, as is building bridges between individuals and communities in order to produce a society that is more inclusive and equitable. In order to truly embrace diversity, it is necessary to first acknowledge the significance of diversity in the world we live in. This means having an awareness that diversity is not only an unavoidable aspect of life, but also a wellspring of power and resiliency. Recognizing the challenges that can result from the coming together of people from varied backgrounds and points of view is another aspect of this concept. Developing cultural competence is another essential component of the practice of accepting and valuing diversity. This requires having an awareness of, and a commitment to upholding, the cultural mores and standards of a variety of communities, as well as the communication and interpersonal skills necessary to work effectively with people who come from a wide range of backgrounds. It also means acknowledging the problems of prejudice and discrimination, taking steps to remedy those problems, and working actively toward the creation of a society more welcoming and equitable. When interacting with people who come from a variety of different backgrounds, it is essential to maintain a sense of empathy and understanding. This requires an attitude of openness and receptivity toward the thoughts and experience of others, as well as an awareness of the ways in which our individual histories and points of view color our perceptions of the wider world. Embracing diversity can also be accomplished by actively seeking out opportunities to form relationships with individuals who come from a variety of backgrounds, attending cultural events, volunteering with organizations that serve diverse communities, or participating in cross-cultural dialogue and exchange are all possible ways to accomplish this goal. You can gain new insights and perspectives, as well as build bridges between different communities if you connect with people who come from a variety of different backgrounds. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that the process of appreciating diversity is an ongoing one. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. To summarize, embracing diversity requires recognizing the significance of diversity in our world, developing cultural competence, engaging in acts that demonstrate empathy and understanding, looking for opportunities to connect with people who come from a variety of backgrounds, and embracing the ongoing process of personal development and self-reflection. We can create a society that is more accepting of those who are different from us and more equitable if we celebrate those differences and work to build bridges between individuals and communities. Chapter 18. Developing a Positive Mindset, Cultivating a Gratitude Practice. A healthy mindset is one in which you believe it is possible to give meaning and purpose to your life, and that you have the ability to influence the course of your own future. Developing a positive mindset entails fostering an attitude of gratitude, centering one's attention on the favorable aspects of one's life, and discovering joy in the mundane activities of daily living. Gratitude is an essential habit to get into if you want to cultivate a more upbeat and optimistic outlook on life. This means making the time to reflect on the things in your life for which you are grateful and expressing your gratitude for those things in some way. It also means taking the time to think about the things in your life for which you are grateful. It might entail keeping a gratitude journal, writing thank you notes, or just taking a few minutes out of each day to reflect on the positive aspects of one's life. Concentrating on the positive aspects of life is yet another essential component in the process of cultivating a positive mental attitude. This entails actively seeking out opportunities to find joy and meaning in mundane moments, as well as recasting challenging experiences in a more uplifting light. Additionally, it means surrounding yourself with positive people and influences, as well as actively seeking out experiences and activities that bring you joy and a sense of fulfillment. When working on developing a more upbeat mentality, it is essential to include self-care and compassion practices in your routine. This entails attending to your physiological and psychological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It could include things like getting an adequate amount of sleep, consuming nutritious foods, or participating in activities that bring you joy and relaxation. Finding opportunities for personal development and professional advancement is yet another method for cultivating a positive mental attitude. This might involve enrolling in classes or workshops, pursuing new hobbies or interests, or seeking out the guidance of others who have experience in areas of development in which you want to advance. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that cultivating a positive mindset is a process that occurs over time. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. In a nutshell, developing a positive mindset entails cultivating an attitude of gratitude, centering one's attention on the favorable aspects of one's life, engaging in acts of self-care and self-compassion, looking for opportunities for personal development and education, and being open to an ongoing process of introspection and development. You can find joy and fulfillment in everyday moments if you cultivate a positive mindset, and you can create a life that is more meaningful and fulfilling for yourself as a result. Chapter 19: Finding Balance, Navigating Work, Life, and Everything in Between. Finding equilibrium requires juggling a number of competing priorities and commitments, such as those to one's career, family, friends, interests, and personal ambitions. It requires acknowledging the significance of each of these aspects of your life, as well as discovering ways to organize your priorities and make efficient use of both your time and energy. It is essential to begin by establishing distinct priorities and objectives if one wishes to achieve balance. This requires you to have a clear idea of what aspects of your life are most important to you, as well as a plan for how you will prioritize how you spend your time and energy. It also means being willing to make concessions and give up certain aspects of your ideal life in order to advance in other areas of your pursuits. Learning to effectively manage your time is another essential component of striking a healthy balance in your life. This requires you to be well organized and productive with your time, as well as to establish goals and deadlines for yourself that are attainable. It also means being willing to turn down commitments that aren't in line with your priorities and being able to delegate work when it's absolutely necessary to do so. When it comes to striking a healthy balance, it's also essential to make time for self-care and compassion for oneself. This entails attending to your psychological and physiological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It can involve things like establishing boundaries with work or family obligations, making time for hobbies and self-care a priority, or reaching out to friends or a therapist for support when necessary. Finding a healthy balance can also be accomplished by actively pursuing opportunities for personal development and professional advancement. This could mean enrolling in courses or workshops to enhance your existing skills, or it could mean exploring new hobbies or interests. You can find new sources of fulfillment and joy in your life if you continue to learn and grow throughout your lifetime. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that striking a healthy balance is an ongoing process. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. To summarize, finding balance requires establishing distinct priorities and goals, practicing effective time management, engaging in acts of self-care and self-compassion, looking for opportunities for personal development and education, and being open to the ongoing process of developing oneself and reflecting on one's actions. You can lead a life that is more satisfying and well-balanced if you can figure out ways to juggle a diverse range of obligations and responsibilities. Chapter 20. Practicing Mindfulness, Embracing the Present Moment. The act of practicing mindfulness entails paying attention to and focusing one's attention on the here and now without analyzing or evaluating it in any way. It entails maintaining an attitude of inquisitiveness and openness toward the world around you, as well as cultivating a profound sense of connection with oneself and with others. It is essential to begin the practice of mindfulness by making room in one's life for the cultivation of mindfulness. This entails setting aside time on a daily basis to engage in activities that cultivate mindfulness, such as meditation, yoga, or exercises that focus on deep breathing. Practicing mindfulness also entails bringing an awareness of the present moment to routine activities, such as eating, walking, or having a conversation with another person. Developing a sense of curiosity and openness to the world around you is another essential component of the mindfulness practice. This means being willing to approach new experiences and circumstances with an open mind and without any preconceived notions or judgments about what those experiences and situations might entail. It also means being open to engaging in deep listening to the experiences and perspectives of others, and approaching conversations and exchanges with an attitude of genuine curiosity and compassion. When engaging in mindfulness practices, it is essential to treat oneself with compassion and take care of oneself at the same time. This entails attending to your physiological and psychological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It may involve doing things like setting goals that are attainable, taking breaks when you feel the need for them, or getting support from people like friends or a therapist when you feel the need for it. A further method of cultivating mindfulness is to actively seek out opportunities to form connections with other people. This could entail becoming a member of a mindfulness community or group, going on a mindfulness retreat, or participating in a mindfulness workshop, or engaging in mindfulness practices with friends or family. You can deepen your sense of connection with yourself and others, as well as the compassion you feel for them, by connecting with others in this way. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that the process of cultivating mindfulness is an ongoing one. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. To summarize, practicing mindfulness entails making room for it in your life, cultivating an attitude of curiosity and openness to the world around you, engaging in acts of self-compassion and self-care, looking for opportunities to connect with other people, and welcoming the ongoing process of personal development and introspection. You can make your life more satisfying and meaningful by focusing on the here and now, developing a sense of connection with others, and showing compassion for those in need. Chapter 21. Building Resilient Communities, Embracing Collective Healing. In order to create communities that are able to withstand adversity and trauma, it is necessary to acknowledge the significance of communal healing and to discover ways in which members can encourage, uplift, and support one another. It requires acknowledging the interconnected nature of our lives and cooperating with one another in order to build a society that is more equitable and just. Recognizing the impact that traumatic experiences and difficult circumstances have on individuals and communities is an important first step in the process of building resilient communities. This requires an openness to the narratives and experiences of others, as well as an awareness of the ways in which adversity can have an impact on a person's mental and physical health, as well as the quality of their relationships and their overall sense of well-being. Developing a sense of empathy and compassion for the people around you is another essential step in the process of constructing resilient communities. This means being willing to put oneself in the position of another person and attentively listening to their stories, as well as their experiences and points of view. Additionally, it means being willing to acknowledge and address systemic injustices, as well as work toward the creation of a society that is more equitable and just. When working toward the goal of building resilient communities, it is essential to incorporate self-care and self-compassion into your daily routine. This entails attending to your psychological and physiological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It may involve doing things like setting goals that are attainable, taking breaks when you feel the need for them, or getting support from people like friends or a therapist when you feel the need for it. Creating spaces for the collective healing and support of individuals is yet another method for building resilient communities. This may involve organizing community events or support groups, or participating in group activities such as meditation, prayer, or group therapy. Another possibility is to organize community gatherings. When we work together in this way, we can generate a sense of connection and support that will assist us in navigating challenging times and in developing the resilience necessary to thrive in the face of adversity. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that the process of developing resilient communities is an ongoing one. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. To summarize, building resilient communities requires acknowledging the impact of adversity and trauma, cultivating a sense of empathy and compassion for others, engaging in self-care and self-compassion practices, developing spaces for collective healing and support, and embracing the ongoing process of personal development and introspection. We can build a society that is more resilient and just if we cooperate with one another to help lift each other up and provide support. Chapter 22. Reclaiming Your Power, Healing from Trauma and Abuse. Abuse and traumatic experiences can have a profound effect on our lives, leaving us with a sense of helplessness, powerlessness, and disconnection from both ourselves and others. Finding ways to heal and build a sense of connection, agency, and purpose in your life is essential to reclaiming your power. This requires acknowledging and addressing the impact of traumatic experiences and abusive relationships, as well as finding ways to heal. It is essential to begin the process of reclaiming your power by first acknowledging the impact that abuse and traumatic experiences have had on your life. This requires an awareness of the ways in which traumatic experiences and abuse can impact a person's mental and physical health, as well as their relationships and their overall sense of well-being. It also means admitting that recovering from traumatic experiences and abusive relationships is a process that requires time, effort, and support from others. Developing a sense of agency and taking control of your life is another essential step in the process of reclaiming your power. This means acknowledging that you have the ability to make decisions and carry out actions that can contribute to your recovery and the reconstruction of your life. It may entail putting up boundaries with people who have caused you pain, seeking support from friends or a therapist, or engaging in activities such as meditation, yoga, or journaling that can assist you in connecting with your inner fortitude and resiliency. When you are working to reclaim your power, it is essential to engage in self-care practices that include self-compassion. This entails attending to your psychological and physiological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It may involve doing things like setting goals that are attainable, taking breaks when you feel the need for them, or getting support from people like friends or a therapist when you feel the need for it. You can reclaim your power in another way by looking for ways to connect with other people who have been through traumatic experiences and abuse. Participating in sessions of individual or group therapy, going to support meetings or communities, or participating in online support groups or forums could all be examples of ways to achieve this goal. You can find a sense of understanding and support from others by connecting with them in this way, which can help you feel less alone and more empowered as you travel the path to healing that you have chosen. Last but not least, keep in mind that regaining your power is an ongoing process. This is critically important. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. In conclusion, reclaiming your power requires acknowledging the impact that abuse and trauma have had on your life, cultivating a sense of agency and control in your life, engaging in self-care and self-compassion practices, discovering ways to connect with others who have experienced challenges comparable to your own, and welcoming the ongoing process of personal development and introspection. You have the ability to craft a future that is richer in significance and provides more fulfillment for you if you reclaim your power and look for ways to heal and rebuild your life. Chapter 23. Letting Go of Perfectionism. Embracing Your Imperfections. The belief that one must always strive toward perfection in order to be loved and accepted by others is referred to as perfectionism. It involves setting standards for yourself that are impossible to achieve and constantly putting yourself under pressure to achieve those standards. In order to let go of perfectionism, you must first acknowledge and accept your flaws and then come to terms with the fact that you are deserving of love and acceptance exactly as you are. To be able to let go of perfectionism, you must first acknowledge the effect that it has had on your life. This is an important first step. This means coming to terms with the ways in which perfectionism can result in feelings such as anxiety, shame, and self-doubt. It also means acknowledging that striving for perfection is neither a sustainable nor a realistic way to live, and that it can lead to feelings of exhaustion as well as disappointment. The cultivation of a sense of self-compassion and self-acceptance is another essential component of letting go of the need for perfectionism. This entails treating yourself with compassion and understanding when things don't go according to plan, as well as acknowledging that mistakes and shortcomings are an inevitable part of the human experience. Reframing negative self-talk, engaging in self-care practices, or seeking support from friends or a therapist could all be components of this process. When it comes to letting go of perfectionism, setting goals and expectations for yourself that are attainable is equally as important. This means coming to terms with the fact that you do not have to be flawless in order to achieve success or to be deserving of love and acceptance. Learning to let go of the need for everything to be perfect, setting small goals that are easily attainable, and celebrating progress along the way may be some of the things that are involved. Practicing vulnerability and being willing to take risks is another strategy for letting go of perfectionism. This could mean being willing to try new things, even if you're not sure you'll be successful at them. Or it could mean sharing your imperfections with other people in a way that feels authentic and genuine. You can strengthen your sense of connection with others and your acceptance of who you are by taking this approach to vulnerability. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that letting go of perfectionism is an ongoing process rather than a one-time event. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. To summarize, letting go of perfectionism involves acknowledging the impact that perfectionism has had on your life, cultivating a sense of self-compassion and self-acceptance, setting realistic goals and expectations for yourself, practicing vulnerability and taking risks, and embracing the ongoing process of personal development and self-reflection. You can lead a life that is richer in meaning and fulfillment if you accept and even celebrate the flaws that you have and let go of the idea that you need to be perfect. Chapter 24. Connecting with your inner child, rediscovering playfulness and joy. It's very easy for us, as we get older, to lose touch with the sense of joy and playfulness that we had when we were younger. Finding your inner child means rediscovering your sense of playfulness and joy, as well as learning to embrace the activities, relationships, and pursuits that bring you the most contentment and satisfaction in life. It is essential to begin the process of connecting with your inner child by determining the activities and pursuits that bring you the most happiness and sense of playfulness. This might involve doing things like engaging in creative activities, spending time outside, or getting back in touch with hobbies and interests that you enjoyed as a child. Cultivating a sense of curiosity and openness to the world around you is another essential component of connecting with your inner child that resides within you. This means being willing to approach new experiences and circumstances with an open mind and without any preconceived notions or judgments about what those experiences and situations might entail. It also means being open to trying new things and being willing to take risks, even if you are unsure of whether or not you will be successful. When you are connecting with your inner child, it is also essential to engage in self-care to show compassion for yourself. This entails attending to your physiological and psychological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It may involve doing things like setting goals that are attainable, taking breaks when you feel the need for them, or getting support from people like friends or a therapist when you feel the need for it. Discovering opportunities to participate in creative and playful activities with other people is yet another method for reestablishing a connection with one's inner child. This could entail signing up for a sports team, enrolling in an art class, or taking part in other activities or events in the local community. You can deepen both your sense of connection to others and your joy in life by interacting with other people in this way. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that connecting with your inner child is an ongoing process rather than a one-time event. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. Finding the things that make you happy and playful, cultivating a sense of curiosity and openness to the world around you, practicing self-care and self-compassion, finding opportunities to engage in playful and creative activities with others, and embracing the ongoing process of growth and self-reflection are all necessary steps in connecting with your inner child. In summary, you can lead a life that is more meaningful and fulfilling if you rediscover your sense of playfulness and joy and reconnect with those parts of yourself. Chapter 25. Living with Purpose, Making a Meaningful Impact. Finding meaning and fulfillment in one's life through the act of having a positive impact on the world around them is the definition of living with purpose. It requires figuring out what your priorities and interests are, as well as locating opportunities to put your one-of-a-kind skills and capabilities to work, improving the lives of other people. In order to lead a life that is meaningful to you, the first step is to figure out what your values and interests are. This requires you to give some thought to the things that are most important to you, as well as the things that give you the most pleasure and a sense of accomplishment. It could include activities such as trying out new pastimes or interests, partaking in some form of introspection, or reaching out for support from friends or a therapist. Discovering ways to put your one-of-a-kind skills and abilities to use so that they can have a positive effect on the world around you is another essential component of living a life with purpose. This could include doing volunteer work in your community, pursuing a line of work that is in line with your values and passions, or beginning a project or initiative that addresses a social problem that is important to you. When living a life guided by a purpose, it is essential to make time for self-care and compassion for oneself. This entails attending to your physiological and psychological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It may involve doing things like setting goals that are attainable, taking breaks when you feel the need for them, or getting support from people like friends or a therapist when you feel the need for it. Discovering ways to connect with other people who share your beliefs, ideals, and interests is yet another approach to living a life with meaning. This could entail joining a community group or organization, going to events or conferences, or participating in online communities or forums. All of these options are possible. You will be able to deepen your sense of connection and support by connecting with other people in this manner, as well as find new opportunities for making a positive impact. Last but not least, it is essential to keep in mind that living a purposeful life is an ongoing process. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. In a nutshell, living a life guided by one's values and passions necessitates the following steps. Figuring out how to put one's specific set of skills and abilities to good use. Engaging in acts of self-care and self-compassion. Fostering relationships with people who share one's values and passions. And welcoming the ongoing process of personal development and introspection. You can create a life that is more fulfilling and purposeful for yourself by living with a purpose and having a meaningful impact on the world. Chapter 26. Finding your voice, speaking your truth, and advocating for yourself. Finding your voice means becoming able to articulate your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in a way that is unambiguous and exudes self-assurance. It requires figuring out what your core values and beliefs are, as well as advocating for yourself and others in a way that is genuine and feels in line with who you are as a person. It is essential to make a list of your core values and beliefs before beginning the process of finding your voice. This requires you to give some thought to the aspects of your life that are most significant to you and the issues about which you have strong opinions. Writing in a journal, meditating, or engaging in self-reflection could be some of the activities involved. Learning how to articulate your thoughts and emotions in a way that is both clear and self-assured is an additional vital step in the process of finding your voice. To achieve this goal, you may need to practice assertiveness skills such as using I statements, setting boundaries, and communicating your needs in a clear and respectful manner. It may also involve seeking support from a therapist or coach who can help you develop these skills and build your confidence. This could be part of the solution. When you're working on finding your voice, it's also important to make time for self-care and compassion for yourself. This entails attending to your physiological and psychological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It may involve doing things like setting goals that are attainable, taking breaks when you feel the need for them, or getting support from people like friends or a therapist when you feel the need for it. You can also find your voice by advocating for yourself and others in a way that feels genuine and genuine to who you are. This is another way to find your voice. This could mean speaking up about issues that are important to you, challenging practices that are unfair or discriminatory, or finding others who are dealing with challenges that are comparable to your own. You will be able to have a positive influence on the world around you and to create a life that is more fulfilling and meaningful for yourself if you discover your voice in this way. In conclusion, It is essential to keep in mind that developing your unique voice is an ongoing process. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. In a nutshell, finding your voice entails determining your core beliefs and values, gaining the ability to articulate your thoughts and emotions in a way that is both articulate and self-assured, engaging in acts of self-care and self-compassion, being an advocate for both yourself and others, and being open to an ongoing process of personal development and introspection. You can live a life that is more fulfilling and empowers you by discovering your voice and speaking the truth that you know. Chapter 27. Building Healthy Boundaries. Prioritizing your needs and values. Developing healthy boundaries requires learning to set limits on what you will and will not accept in your relationships, as well as giving your own needs and values a higher priority than those of others. It requires cultivating a sense of self-respect and self-worth, as well as learning to communicate your boundaries in a way that is both transparent and respectful. It is essential to determine your needs and values before beginning the process of building healthy boundaries for yourself. This requires you to give some thought to the things that are most important to you, as well as the requirements necessary for you to experience a sense of security and respect within the context of your interpersonal relationships. Writing in a journal, meditating, or engaging in self-reflection could be some of the activities involved. Learning to communicate your needs and values in a way that is both clear and respectful is another essential component of developing healthy boundaries in your relationships. To achieve this goal, you may need to practice assertiveness skills such as using I statements, setting boundaries, and communicating your needs in a clear and respectful manner. It may also involve seeking support from a therapist or coach who can help you develop these skills and build your confidence. This could be part of the solution. When it comes to developing healthy boundaries, it is also essential to make time for self-care and compassion for oneself. This entails attending to your physiological and psychological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It may involve doing things like setting goals that are attainable, taking breaks when you feel the need for them, or getting support from people like friends or a therapist when you feel the need for it. One more way to establish healthy boundaries is to be aware of the various ways in which other people may attempt to cross or violate your boundaries and to take measures to protect yourself from these transgressions. This might involve saying no to requests that make you feel uncomfortable or are unreasonable, setting limits on how much of your time and energy you give to others, or seeking support from a friend or mentor you can trust. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that establishing healthy boundaries is an ongoing process rather than a one-time event. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. To summarize, establishing healthy boundaries requires being aware of the ways in which others may try to violate your boundaries, practicing self-care and self-compassion, being aware of the ways in which others may try to violate your boundaries, and embracing the ongoing process of personal development and self-reflection. You can make your relationships more fulfilling and respectful by putting your own needs and values first, while also establishing healthy boundaries between you and others. Chapter 28. Embracing Failure. Learning from Setbacks and Mistakes. To embrace failure is to learn to view mistakes and other types of setbacks as opportunities for personal development and growth. To do so requires cultivating a growth mindset, as well as the ability to approach obstacles and setbacks with an attitude of curiosity and resilience. To be able to accept mistakes as part of the learning process, it is necessary to adopt a growth mindset. This requires retraining your mindset so that you see mistakes and setbacks not as indicators of your value or capabilities, but as opportunities for personal development and expansion. Reframing negative self-talk, seeking feedback from others, and engaging in self-reflection are all examples of what this could entail. Learning to approach challenges and setbacks with curiosity and resilience is another essential component of adopting a mindset that is accepting of failure. This might involve setting goals that are attainable, breaking down tasks into steps that are manageable, and reaching out to others for assistance when it is required. It could also involve practicing self-compassion, which means treating yourself with kindness and understanding even when things don't go the way you had planned. It is essential to keep in mind that making mistakes is an inherent and unavoidable component of the process of acquiring new skills. Everyone makes blunders and stumbles along the way, and these moments can be transformative learning and growth opportunities if we choose to see them as such. You can develop new skills and capabilities, as well as become more resilient in the face of adversity, if you are willing to embrace failure and approach challenges with a sense of curiosity and resilience. Accepting failure also means actively seeking out opportunities for personal development and personal advancement. This could entail engaging in new challenges, pursuing new hobbies or interests, or asking for feedback from other people. You can continue your personal growth and development, as well as become more self-assured and resilient when confronted with challenges if you actively seek out these opportunities. In conclusion, it is essential to keep in mind that the process of accepting failure is an ongoing one. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. To summarize, embracing failure requires developing a growth mindset, approaching challenges and setbacks with curiosity and resilience, practicing self-compassion, seeking out opportunities for growth and learning, and embracing the ongoing process of growth and self-reflection. All of these things must be done in order to be successful. You can develop new skills and capabilities, as well as become more self-assured and resilient when confronted with challenges, if you are willing to accept that you will occasionally fall short of your goals and learn from your experiences when you do. Chapter 29. Seeking Authenticity, Aligning Your Actions with Your Values. To pursue authenticity means to live in a way that feels true and authentic to who you are, and to make sure that your actions are aligned with the values that you hold dear. It entails cultivating a robust sense of self-awareness and learning to make decisions that are in line with one's core values and beliefs in order to achieve it. In order to find authenticity, it is necessary to first determine your core values and beliefs as a starting point. This requires you to give some thought to the values and principles that guide your life, as well as the things that are most important to you. Writing in a journal, meditating, or engaging in self-reflection could be some of the activities involved. Learning to align your actions with your values and beliefs is another essential component of seeking authenticity. This could entail choosing actions that are in line with your beliefs and values, as well as establishing objectives that are in line with those values. It could also involve looking for opportunities that give you the chance to meaningfully express your beliefs and values, such as getting involved in volunteer work or political activism, for example. When one is looking for authenticity, it is vitally important to engage in acts of self-care and self-compassion. This entails attending to your physiological and psychological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It may involve doing things like setting goals that are attainable, taking breaks when you feel the need for them, or getting support from people like friends or a therapist when you feel the need for it. Being willing to expose yourself as vulnerable and genuine in the context of your relationships with other people is an additional strategy for pursuing authenticity. Sharing your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in an open, honest, and respectful manner as well as being willing to listen to the perspectives of others while keeping an open mind, could be examples of how this can be done. You can strengthen your connections with other people and create relationships that are more fulfilling and meaningful by acting in an authentic and vulnerable manner in situations like these. Last but not least, it is essential to keep in mind that the pursuit of authenticity is an ongoing process. It necessitates continuous introspection and personal development, as well as learning from your past experiences, both positive and negative. It is essential to practice self-compassion and recognize and appreciate even the smallest steps forward along the way. In a nutshell, seeking authenticity entails figuring out what your core beliefs and values are, ensuring that your actions are congruent with those values, engaging in acts of self-care and self-compassion, being willing to expose yourself as vulnerable and authentic in your relationships, and welcoming the ongoing process of personal development and introspection. You can create a life that is more fulfilling and meaningful for you by actively seeking authenticity and living in a way that feels true and authentic to who you are as a person. Chapter 30. Embracing Your Authentic Self. Celebrating your journey of self-discovery. Celebrating the unique person that you are and living your life in a way that feels true and authentic to who you are both part of what it means to embrace your authentic self. It entails accepting oneself in each and every one of their facets, both their strengths and their weaknesses, and embracing the entirety of who they are. It is essential to begin the process of embracing your authentic self by first accepting yourself in your current state. This means coming to terms with one's own strengths and weaknesses, as well as learning to love and appreciate oneself. It can involve things like engaging in self-compassion practices, reframing negative self-talk, or seeking support from a therapist or coach. Learning to live in a way that is true to who you are and authentic to the way you want to be seen by the world is another essential part of embracing your authentic self. It's possible that this will require you to determine your core values and beliefs, then determine how your actions can best reflect those values and beliefs. It could also involve appreciating the one-of-a-kind skills and interests you possess and engaging in pursuits that bring you happiness and a sense of accomplishment. When you are working on accepting yourself for who you truly are, it is essential that you engage in acts of self-care and self-compassion. This entails attending to your psychological and physiological requirements, as well as treating yourself with compassion and tolerance in the event that things do not go according to plan. It may involve doing things like setting goals that are attainable, taking breaks when you feel the need for them, or getting support from people like friends or a therapist when you feel the need for it. Connecting with other people who share your interests and values is yet another way to embrace your true self and bring it to the world. This could involve signing up for a club or organization, giving back to the community through volunteer work, or attending social events. You can deepen your sense of belonging and community by connecting with other people in this way, and you can also feel more comfortable being your authentic self as a result of this. In conclusion, it is essential to honor the process of self-discovery and development that you have gone through. Learning to accept and embrace your true self is an ongoing process that requires you to take in lessons not only from your triumphs, but also from your setbacks. You can build your confidence and feel more empowered to live in a way that feels true and authentic to who you are by celebrating the progress you make along the way and recognizing the small victories along the way. Accepting yourself for who you are, living in a way that feels true and authentic to who you are, practicing self-care and self-compassion, connecting with others who share your interests and values, and celebrating your journey of self-discovery and growth are all components of embracing your authentic self. You can live a life that is more satisfying and meaningful, as well as have a positive impact on the world around you, if you accept and embrace who you truly are as an individual.